Good evening, and welcome to another horror review. Tonight I'm joined once again by Chris, and we're going to talk about the cult sci-fi horror Tremors. Released in 1990, the movie tells the story of the natives of a small town and how they defend themselves against strange underground creatures who are killing them one by one. The film was made on a budget of $10 million and brought in $16.7 million at the box office. Welcome back, Chris, and good choice. Good choice, I have to say.
I appreciate you having me, man. Yeah, this one was great. This was like it had a very similar premise to Maximum Overdrive or Minimum Overdrive that we watched recently, but it just seemed to be just done better. Like all the mistakes that movie had, I feel like this one fixed. It had more heart. It had more humor. The characters were likable, except maybe for that one boy in the town.
Yeah.
But I feel like it just did everything better than the other one did.
God, I think I put his name down. God, what was his name again? Wasn't what Bird and Heather. Didn't I put his name down?
Oh, the director?
No, the wee boy's name, because he just reminded me of the girl out of Jurassic Park. And I was like, I remember being in the cinema going, eat her! Eat her!
I will look it up real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, he was annoying.
Oh my gosh. I didn't think he was going to survive. That they had very similar to Maximum Overdrive, where the annoying voice girl survived at the end. They had this boy survived, and we wished he didn't.
Yeah, he was just over the top, just irritating wee oink.
Yeah. Melvin.
Melvin, right?
Played by Robert Jane. Yeah.
God, what a brat.
Just the worst.
You're just like, why? And everyone's so tolerant of him too as well. But also, what this movie does is completely different than most horror monster movies. It's normally in a monster movie, you get the first sneaky kill, you get that one lone individual, and then cuts the thing. It didn't bother with us at all.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like a lot of movies feel like they have to get right to it, and this there was like a slow build to it.
Yep.
But I thought it worked well for this because I really enjoyed the friendship between Val and Earl, and I just like that they kind of built up.
Oh, so he's got abandonment issues.
Oh, okay.
So it's attention seek, it's a cry for help, basically. I can get that.
Okay.
That would make sense to him why the village are so tolerant of him. Then they all understand.
Yeah,
because you get this real family vibe, and it's like I said, it doesn't jump in just to the okay, let's get the jump scare out of the way and the first kill, and then we can carry on. Nope, we're not getting that set up at all.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. I like characterization. I like it when you get invested in the characters.
Definitely, these were likable characters for me. I definitely was invested in the friendship between the two main guys, Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon, Val and Earl.
Val and Earl, yep.
Yeah, and the girl was likable. Like there was very few people that you like wanted or didn't mind seeing killed. Like it was just like a town coming together and trying to survive something unbelievable.
Yeah, and
I like that.
That's brilliant because then it makes you. Then every kill matters.
Yeah.
Every kill matters. Even the road guys, they were extras, but they mattered.
Right.
And that gives you a different. And I've been arguing against that or for this for a while. It's what I don't like about the slasher genre. It's what I find so boring is these wooden plank characters that are just designed to go plink, 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 plink.
Yeah. So my friend and I watched this one and separately, but we had watched Maximum Overdrive together. He feels that it's very similar to that. And I was trying to say, although I liked Maximum Overdrive more than you did, I did like this one a lot more, but I was having a hard time trying to like articulate why. I wanted to get your take on it. Like, what would you say this did more successfully?
Okay, so from the very start, we got to meet the characters. We got to let's understand. Stephen King hates humanity. Stephen King hates working class people.
Right.
So he would have Val and Earl down as just absolute dipshits.
That's true.
Like all hateful, and they'd be stealing, they'd be doing all sorts. However, these are two simple guys. They're jack of all trades because they've found themselves that they're useful. They fit in with the community. They're not leeches or anything. They're actually an integral part of the community. They're needed.
Yeah.
Because this is an isolated community, so you can't afford to bring in the plumbing company. You can't have the electricians company. You can't have the fencing company.
Yeah, they did everything.
They did everything of that nature.
Yeah.
And actually, you see as well, they have a relationship. It's not even about the money. You know what I mean? They are given enough to live on, and they're given a few wee perks. But more importantly, they're respected.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not like, oh, you're the peasants, you're the worker, you're here to serve us. It doesn't go like that. And you get this all built up in the first 10 minutes of the movie, and it's brilliant.
Absolutely. And I think the beginning of the movie conveys the isolation well, you know, like the sprawling landscape and everything like that. It was just much more effective to me than even though they were isolated in their area, it wasn't as enclosed as Maximum Overdrive with the diner. Like it just felt, you know, they did a good job of conveying that isolation. Yeah.
Yeah, but also remember they had the debate about it's Earl wants to get out of the place. Hit this, and Val's like, "What, and give up this freedom?"
Yeah.
They kind of know they have it good for the sort of skill set they have, and for the rapport they've built. To go and do that all over again, like these aren't big town people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go into a city and kind of be lost.
Right.
But there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Everyone's a creature. It's like a city person would come into this environment and be like, totally, wouldn't get it.
Yeah. It's better to be a big fish in a little pond sometime, you know?
Yeah, that's right. It's just to be in the environment as well. You know what I mean? They've adapted, they've made the best they can, and they're happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're bantering with each other. It seems to be this argument's went along since the year dot, since they're probably kids at school.
Yeah.
And that's their relationship. And this is all played out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we get to meet the townsfolk. And it's not just to line them all up in a diner. You know what I mean? They're meeting the townsfolk. We'll get Rhonda brought in very, just, it's a girl,
Exactly.
Which is hilarious.
Plus, it's just someone new, and there's
as well,
there's 14 people in the town. They just get excited when anyone new shows up.
Here, if you knew where I came from, you'd understand. It happens.
Yeah.
That's not our DNA. Who are you? There's legit villages like that where I come from.
That's not our DNA. That's a good...
it's not a stretch of the imagination, so I can't say a word. But that's what I mean. We're getting these characters. We're getting a bit of depth to them.
Right.
Where what did you get in Maximum Overdrive? Oh, ex-con trying to get through life. Dipshit boss, just being a dipshit for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And nothing really else. Everyone else is just a wooden plank.
Yeah. A waitress that yells at the machines, "We made you." I mean, nothing. There was no like. They weren't. It's hard to take them seriously. They weren't very realistic.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
You take these characters seriously.
Yeah.
You're invested in them.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And then we even get the threat, because let's be honest, if it wasn't for the poster and you wouldn't know what was going on.
Right.
I mean, if the poster didn't spell it out.
Yeah, I like that aspect because they built it appropriately. Like first, all is that that one guy who was stuck in on the light tower, Edgar.
Yeah, he's that's the first death.
Yeah,
and that's about 10 minutes into the movie.
All you would know from that, like you said, if you hadn't seen the trailer or the movie poster, is that something scared him on the ground. But that's it. And then like later on, it sucks in the car, so you get that it's has more capabilities, but then it takes out all those sheep. Like they built up its abilities each time, which just ramped up the tensions. I thought they did that really well.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you saw the creature, it was more terrifying than the time before. It could do more.
Yeah, and the whole gravitas of it. But even the death of Edgar, right? He was up an electricity pylon. He was known as the town drunk, and they were just casually, oh, what the hell? And even then, it was dealt with gravitas. You know, in Maximum Overdrive, he just got thrown in the bag, dragged into the cellar, and then dragged outside to get buried.
Right.
Do you mean that's how they deal with dead bodies? Where this is like, oh, right, we've got to call a doctor. The doctor, so it means they have put their day aside because this is a big thing that's happened. So everything stands still, and now the word of that would have been around the entire community. So even though they had a job to do, it would have been perfectly understandable. Oh, but Edgar's dead. He's up there, and did you hear he's died of dehydration? I mean, something scared him. It was something waiting for him. It wasn't coyote. You know, and they're all trying to rationalize it.
Right.
You know, and we've already got that sense of the community that this is a shock.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And that's characterization. You can do almost anything. You don't have to have big budget. You don't have to have super effects. I mean, you don't have to have an ensemble of A-list actors. If you have characterization, any story works.
Right. Right. But I think this movie was also somewhat unique in that I can't think of another movie before it that had this type of creature, you know, something that was hidden underground. And I thought it was really effective. Some of the special effects are, you know, don't quite hold up, obviously. You know, it's 33 years later, but
I don't know, to be honest, because this is still bloody watchable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You put a 90s, like a mid to late 90s CGI movie on.
Yeah.
And you'd be dying of cringe.
Yeah.
Like we watched or early 2000s CGI was the worst. We watched Midnight Meat Train, and there's a particular scene with an eyeball and it's CGI and it looks horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just like going, oh.
Yeah.
Watching this, you're still like, oh, bloody hell, that's a graboid. You know, and even when the drill, you know, they're doing it with a jackhammer. You get, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think my sense of it is that the main creature, the large worm-like creature, was done really well for the time. I think some of the snake heads that stuck out were a little bit cheesy. I think they would have done better if those were just like tongues or something.
I did see the sequels.
Oh really? I've never seen the sequel.
5 portions of cheesy goodness.
Oh just, really?
Oh yeah.
All right. But so that part I didn't think was done as well as it could have been, but I thought the main creature was pretty cool for the time, you know, and it was effective. What it's got, who's it, Walter, the shopkeeper, and he's like, you know, waving him back and forth. I thought that looked really good.
Yeah, once again, you get to see these characters. You get a moment to introduce them. There's a bit of foreboding as well with the fridge.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm being corrected. I haven't kept up. 7 sequels and 2 TV shows. Consider me told. Bloody hell. This thing just...
So I will say, after I watched this movie, the poster was a point of contention on the creators. Wanted to really juke on it. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that would make sense because that was the whole script at the start. We thought it was a serial killer. There was no indication until the who is it? Ernie, the farmer.
Oh, let's see.
Edgar. No, not Edgar. Fred. Sorry,
Fred.
The farmer.
Yeah, Fred. Yeah. With his head sticking out under the hat.
You don't really get an indication that it's not human.
Right.
No, we'll get Edgar. He's up the pole. We don't know what the hell's happened.
Yeah.
That's a whole kind of premise. We're not getting it all spelled out, but yeah, the poster just gives it away. If it had been some sort of indication in the movie at the start, you could understand the poster, but the poster just spoils it.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Could they have done something better?
It's always a tough call for a movie studio because their main job is to sell tickets to it. And if you show more in the trailer and on the posters, you're more likely to get more people to come, but you do give away so much.
Well, that's some directors refuse. They actually sign a contract that they dictate what to give to the marketing department, because it's actually got worse, because you watch a trailer now and you've seen the entire movie.
Yeah.
You've no reason to actually go and see it.
Yeah.
So I think Christopher Nolan's one that does it. He will not refuse, or he refuses to release anything apart from the first third of the movie for the marketing department, because he knows the marketing department will just use it all.
Yeah, smart. I was just gonna say, I bet like a director like Christopher Nolan or someone like that has enough clout where they could, dictate what's going to be in the trailers. But I feel like for anyone else besides like a very few people that are elite directors, I feel like they don't have any say.
I'm not a fan. I worked in a marketing department for a year, in a data cleansing project, and I'm not a fan of marketers. They are the most sterile people on the planet.
Yeah.
Strange bunch. And you'd think they'd be invested or have a bit of excitement about them. These people don't. It's all they're number crunchers. Like they're basically accountants. It's very, very strange. You have the artist, the artist side of marketing, the advertising, sort of like a little bubble within it. But generally, marketing is all about numbers, and they're soulless people.
That's interesting to me, because you would think they would have to have an artistic approach to seeing what would people want to see or what would grab their attention. I feel like if they're not artistically creative.
This is the thing about the entertainment industry, and I've talked about this a lot. You have the creatives, and you also have the most risk averse grey people, sort of married together. And I think we've talked about this before. How do movies get made? Because this is a toxic relationship. These two people do not belong together, yet they're forced together in this weird corporate bubble.
Right.
And somehow movies come out and TV shows come out, because really it shouldn't happen, because they're just too diametrically opposed.
But I also think that's why so many are done poorly, because they don't mesh. They very rarely mesh well,
And we have seen as well, with movies, that the marketing is just done completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it actually spoils the movie.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Then the movie suffers because it's been poorly marketed. Here's one. Would you say Tremors is a horror with a heavy comedic elements, or? I'd say this is a horror movie.
Yeah, I was just going to say that myself.
This is a horror movie primarily.
Yeah.
The fact that we have quite a bit of levity, I think it's what keeps it fresh and makes this thing unique.
Yeah, I think there's enough comedy in it that makes it just adds heart and fun to the whole thing. I love when Fred Ward's character kept saying, like, we need a plan. He loves plans. And like the whole movie emphasizing, it's a plan. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. It's a plan.
But that's back to the same with the fridge. So they're in the store. Walter's there, and he says, could you take a look at it? And I was like, no, we can't. We've got a plan. And then Fal's like, yeah, we've got a plan. That's why we don't do anything right now. And it turns out later on, it's the fridge. If they had to fix it there and then, a whole load of stuff wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, Walter would still be here. By the way, that scene with Walter where he gets eaten by the graboid through the floor, I thought of your friend Steven, because there was one of the biggest editing mistakes I've seen in a long time. He's grabbing onto the fridge, and the creature comes up but hasn't bitten him yet. And there's a scene where they zoom in on Walter, and there's blood coming out of his nose, and then the creature bites him, and then like they just, all they had to do is just reorder it, and it would have been fine. But if you happen to see that scene next time, just take a look at it.
I'll have to re-look at that.
I'm sure Steven noticed it.
Just back to that question about comedy and horror, right? Did you laugh at any of the deaths? No, I mean, were you going, ha, 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 ha?
No.
I think that's the fundamental difference.
Yeah.
So when if it's a comedy horror, you like a lot of slasher movies. Not you're like, oh, he got his head cut off,
Yeah.
and I mean, like I said, back to the 2D characters, are just blink, 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 and you're
Yeah.
laughing at the kills. Where because they spent time making you like the characters, that's where it gets flipped around.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. If you know yourself, you're being guided to invest something in the characters. If you're being told something about them, the filmmakers wanting you to go, I want you to sympathize with this character, or I want you to understand.
Right.
So that when it happens, it's more impactful. I mean, you're left that, okay, I don't want anything to happen to them. Oh shit, you know what I mean? It's all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where if it's going the other direction, you're just like, oh, who's next?
The one character I would have laughed if he died was the boy, but
Yeah.
but now hearing his backstory, now I feel bad about rooting against him.
I kind of missed that actually.
Yeah, they should have put that in somehow into this movie. But
yeah, that should have been maybe. Obviously, Tremors saga as well into this, so if there had been like a line or something.
Yeah, just one line.
If there was, I missed, oh, yeah, he acts up. Explain, Rhonda would have been a good conduit for that.
I was just going to say, because she was...
Because
yeah,
she's the outsider, so somebody explained to her, yeah, he acts up because blah, blah, blah. We all kind of take him under our wing.
Yeah.
But no harm, no foul. At the end of the day...
it didn't ruin the movie.
He wasn't that egregious. Because at the end of when shit hit the fan, basically, he's like, his whole mood changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we talked about the effects. Like the graboids are still posing. Like these are serious creatures.
Yeah, I thought the effects were excellent. The scale of it was excellent, and I just think the little heads coming out could have been different, but that's nitpicking. I mean, it worked for me.
We wouldn't be here otherwise. That's what we do.
That and my terrible theories, which I have one whenever you feel appropriate with this one.
Oh, right,
but but yeah, I just thought maybe that aspect, but the actual creatures themselves, I agree. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, and 90% of this movie as well, it takes place during daylight.
Yeah.
That's when you know you got a good horror movie. If you can still get that sense of dread and it's broad daylight, you know it's kind of done something correctly there.
So my thought on that's a good point. My thought on that, though, is that even though it was in the daylight, it acts in a way like it's at night because the creatures are underground, so they're hidden from sight, and the creatures are in the dark. So it
makes no difference to them. So day or night, it doesn't matter.
And because you can't see the creatures and they can pop up anywhere, it kind of works the same way as a horror movie that is or does take place in the dark. It has all the same elements. So I thought that's one of the reasons it was successful, because it's terrifying not knowing where it's going to strike. So even though it's broad daylight, a beautiful day, blue sky, I mean, these things could be anywhere. So I like that.
One thing I'm glad they didn't try and do was rig up some sort of portable seismograph.
Yeah.
Like aliens with a tracker. I think that would have been silly. They used the seismographs just enough that, these things are here. Oh God, there's three of them. I mean, they're already terrified of one, and then there's three of them. And then that's all it needed to do. I think if they had done something silly, like trying to wire up a handheld one or something, would have just been... I think I would have removed all the agency from the creatures and a lot of the horror.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it wouldn't have made sense, too, that she would have that kind of technology. Why would she need to have a portable one if she was just there measuring, earthquakes? Yeah, definitely.
So I just a thought where it could have went wrong, but yeah, and then we get this all sort of happen. Like it just after the roadside scene with the construction workers, everything just ramps up. We've got this slow pace, everything's building up. Something's happening, and then boom, we're straight in there.
Yeah, and it flew at that point. But even like the beginning, I thought that it was paced so well because, like I said, every time the creatures came, they did more. They're more terrifying. Now they could take down a whole car. Then later on, they could take down the support structure of a house, and the roof could collapse. So there's nowhere safe. They get smarter later on. Like every time you see them, they're doing more and more. And I thought that really worked well for the movie.
Yeah, because it's effectively it's an apex predator at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's adapted. You know what I mean? They're even saying it was there before records, so
yeah,
they're perfectly adapted to what to do. But yeah, I've lost count the number of times I've watched this. I need to watch the sequels more. That's just sometimes back to the straight to DVD days. You're like, oh god, not another one. Oh, I think we broke Chris. Oh dear, he's broken. Oh well, I'll just have to continue. But yeah, if you remember back to the days of like straight to DVD, they would make a sequel out of anything, and you're just like, oh, again, really? Come on, guys, knock in the head. You back?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you broke up. Yeah, sorry about sequels. They would go right to DVD.
Yeah, like I said, there's just like a ton of sequels to this, and just back in that era, there would be one successful movie, and then there'd be like a ton of sequels, and they just got more ridiculous. God, what was it? They make a sequel out of anything. Like they made sequels to Carrie, they made it the American Psycho. What was that other one? I forget. Neve Tyler was in it. Liv Tyler. Or what's her face out of Scream? Dangerous Creatures or something.
But you're asking the wrong person. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like there's whole basically
yeah.
any movie that had a wee bit of a unique twist that was its own thing that had made 10 freaking straight to DVD sequels. And they just got more and more wooden and ridiculous.
So the sad thing is, after watching this one and enjoying it so much, because I hadn't seen this in 20 years, I actually really want to see these terrible sequels now.
Well, 2's good.
I'm hooked. Yeah,
I watched 2 not so long ago. 2's good. 2's a good follow up.
Yeah. I'm down if you're down, man. That'd be a fun one.
This could be a wee rabbit hole, doing it, right? Because I'm doing the Peter Jackson series with Al. We could do the Tremors series.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. So apparently, I looked it up.
Trevor Saga, senior on, email the channel. Yeah, if you're using to be like really deep dive into this, so I have to check out his channel or her channel, whoever's their channel later.
Yeah,
I'll see what it's all about if it's a full thing. But yeah, email the channel and maybe we'll make that a wee fortnightly feature. That'd be cool.
That'd be fun. So after watching this, I did a quick view of all the trailers for all the sequels, and I saw that Michael Gross, who plays the I forget his name, but he's one of the two people that are like armed to the teeth in that house.
Bert's in this. Like Bert's a recurring character.
He's like the hero for like the rest of the.
He takes over.
Films. Yeah, which is awesome because I thought he was great in this. I really liked his character.
I'll not spoil the second one, but the kind of Kevin Bacon, I don't think returns for any of them. And there's a bit of it's a kind of explained in the second one, like they make that thing about it, and then obviously Heather doesn't come back. They discuss that in the second one.
Oh, okay.
So they don't just leave it hanging. They kind of in the second one they go, okay, this has happened, that's happened. Doors sort of left open, if that makes sense. But
yeah,
and there's a lot of reason why they get involved.
Interestingly, Kevin Bacon filmed a pilot for a TV show in 2018. I looked up Tremors TV show, and the pilot was filmed, but it was never purchased. Sci-Fi passed on it. Everyone else passed on it. But that could have been cool, if it was done right. Obviously, I guess it was, or the studios didn't think it was.
We'll find out because there was 2 TV shows.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess we'll find out. Fun times. It's interesting as well, just seeing how the first instincts of this community is to come together. There's a difference between that and Maximum Overdrive, because in Maximum Overdrive, the first instinct was people to tear at each other's throats.
Right.
Where this was, you can tell these people, they're used to relying on each other because of the nature of the land, and they know they can't do it alone. They've all got something to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And they're used to pulling together, and that didn't really get challenged. even when they're in the store and they're sort of arguing, they weren't. I mean, you can tell they've had these arguments 100 times that they'll just they'll come together at the end.
Yeah. There's something I really like about a small community like that because you literally have to rely on them. Like for example, Walter, he owns a store that's kind of an everything store, a
Yeah.
general store. There's 14 people in this town. You know, if one family goes on vacation, he loses like half his business, you know? So like they literally have to rely on each other for financial survival and also for other aspects. And I really like that because you saw that in this, you know, situation that they cared about each other, you know, which was cool. And opposite of Maximum Overdrive, like you said.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what I mean. I mean, you see that happening, you're invested in once again the characters, and that does make a world of difference, and it completely
Yeah.
changes the tone of a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Because when you're
sure.
not invested, don't care, then you're just looking at the kills. I mean, it's basically
Yeah.
it's a slasher, it's an action movie, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong. They're just different experiences,
Right.
and that's what I love about the horror genre because you can have different experiences with different types of movie in this
Yeah.
whole genre.
Yeah. And I think they did a pretty good job considering the odds they were up against. I mean, they lost Walter and they lost another person, a grown up in town, through the one who got sucked in through the tire. He was
Oh
sitting on.
yes, God, I forget his name.
But outside of those two, I mean, they got both kids to survive. They saved, you know, everyone collectively saved the two kids, and I thought that other guy who was an older guy was going to get eaten. I forget the guy's name, but he was like an Italian guy. He had like
Oh yes, no, you talking about Miguel?
Miguel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I said Italian, Spanish guy. Yeah, 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 with the mustache.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought he was done for sure because he was just he wasn't looking well. He looks like me after I walk a mile. You know, he was just huffing and puffing, and it's like, oh boy, he's not going to outrun these things.
but
They did good.
that makes sense as well because not everyone's like, right now they're all mid-20s, athletic, blah blah blah, and it's like
Right.
these are real people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Excuse me just one sec. I'll be right back. I'm
Yeah,
so
no
sorry.
worries. Yeah, well, oh, what have we got here? On Melvin, the line about his parents was filmed but just missed the cut. BTS videos on the Real Deal production channel. The only regret. Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes it only takes one line of dialogue to explain something. I think the problem we've got today with filmmaking, that's why we're kind of going back. And it's not even by choice because I try to check out new movies every week on this show. But the reason we're finding ourselves now going back is just the script writing, the characterization isn't there, and people over explain. That's a major problem we've got today. It wouldn't just be one line to explain Melvin's situation. It would be a whole diatribe and a crime scene or something like that. You know, it would take like 20 minutes. And you're kind of like, it doesn't need that. Sometimes just one line, there it's out there, something's explained. Less is more, if that makes sense. And they've kind of lost that art of making movies that way. And I think we need to bring that bit of that back. Especially I've done a lot of interviews with indie filmmakers, and I kind of bring that up as well. Less is more, and that, and don't fall into the trap. And a lot of them get it. A lot of the same guys. Especially ones I enjoy and have reviewed, they get it. They try not to overload you with too much information. They're telling a story at the end of the day. It's not a lecture. And you're not reading a textbook. And I think some of them do fall in that kind of category that they think they're teaching you a lesson, going through a lesson plan as opposed to telling a story, and they forget that a character can do so much with a gesture without even making, sometimes a nod or a look in a certain way or a hesitation can be all it takes for you to get the tone
My apologies.
of what's been said. No worries, no worries. Yeah, I was just explaining how sometimes less is more. And
Yeah.
that seems to be forgotten today in filmmaking. And
Yeah.
the mistake a lot of makes just over explaining, just doing it to death, and then you lose the characterization. And like I said, sometimes a gesture.
Right, like they didn't explain where the graboids came from, which probably just wouldn't
Well,
have
they wouldn't have
added it.
known. You know, what I mean, there would be
Right,
no
yeah,
reason
yeah.
for them to find out why, and there
Right.
was no reason for them to go and find the big lure, which is always, that's a bit cliche.
The
Oh,
queen, the mother
we've
queen.
found the queen graboid here. Everything's safe. No, these are just three. We don't know how many there are, where they are. They've just encountered them.
So you want to hear my terrible theory? I always
Okay,
have to
let's
have,
go for it.
I have
Let's
to
go
have
for it.
one per episode. So I think that this is
If you say there's a killer clown inside, I'm going to laugh at you.
All right, my second theory. No, I think this is an anti-fracking movie. So fracking is this controversial technique where companies have running low on oil reserves. So what they do is they use high pressure systems deep underground, and they basically create oil fissures. But what it does is
I thought it was
it
for shale gas.
what's that?
I thought it was for shale gas.
Oil or gas, yeah. So it creates fissures in the ground, which leads to earthquakes. It leads to poisoning the groundwater underneath. If it's not done correctly, it's really a major environmental thing. But we need oil, we need gas.
Well,
So
that's like anything. If anything's not done correctly, if you build a nuclear power plant and you don't do it right, things go wrong.
yeah, exactly. So it reminded me a little bit of the line from Jurassic Park, where scientists thought about could they do it and not should they do it. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of that aspect to it.
But
So I was wondering,
there was no
yeah.
drill. If there had been drilling or something,
Well, they don't show where the graboids came from, so
yeah.
I'm kind of wondering if it's just like a message, as far as they did this. Some company somewhere did fracking. It created this underground. It broke this barrier that these creatures were living underneath and evolving over millions of years, and that's how they become intelligent. And now all of a sudden, the barrier that was going to be there for another million years is now broken, and they could come up to the surface and take revenge on whoever broke their environment and habitat.
I think you're stretching. I think you're kind of that one. That's a bit of a killer clown exosuit. I get this one's a wee bit of a stretch.
Anti-fracking.
And this is what's wrong with modern storytellers. Message first, story later.
Yeah.
But then again, that's of course the studio wanted a scene explaining everything, because how dare there be any mystery in a movie? This is what I'm saying about the two. Oops, I've clicked something else. Only 4 options: rock, mutation, space. They're demons. Sorry, I was trying to take that one off. I brought that one up too quickly. Let me go back to this one. Yeah, this is what I'm saying about studios and creatives. They're the two worst people to be together. Yet somehow in the entertainment industry, and not just film, but music, theater, you name it, the money people, the artsy people, just don't. It's oil and water.
Right.
Don't mix, and yet somehow they're forced together into this industry.
Yeah.
And it's weird, and you can tell when the hissy fits start and everything else, and
yeah.
when the two when one goes out of line too much, or the other starts interfering. How many times have we said, when has the studio interfering in a movie been a good thing?
Oh, for sure. But I was trying to think of a reason why the graboids would be so fixated on killing the humans. I mean, there were other sources.
Well, they have the sheep.
They did get the sheep, but it seems like they were so focused on these few humans
the other horse.
In the town. They did get the horse, but there were those bulls they could have gotten.
But Walter explained it.
Yeah,
they're in a mountain bull.
Oh, okay, that's true. They're kind of
busy. They're effectively in a pond.
Yeah,
these are like pike.
True. Right,
these are like pike in a pond, and they've already eaten the flipping goldfish. They've already eaten the shrimp. You know what I mean? They're going for the koi now. It's that sort of thing.
Right. But where did they come from? Couldn't they go back? Where they, there's something that caused them to emerge out of nowhere.
Are you familiar with alligators and crocodilians in general?
I'm not friends with any.
No, but they can hibernate.
Yeah.
They can hibernate for a year.
Yeah.
And not, These are basically, they're apex predators.
Right.
And they're not going to, if they've got a source, we saw it on The Rock, actually, with Earl, Val, and Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
It just sat and waited.
Yeah.
Wasn't chasing. It's like, there's food there. I'm not going to, you know, apex predator's not going to expend energy. It's like, I'm not going to go chasing food. There's food here.
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to wait, lie dormant, like
Yeah.
a crocodilian will. If you, honestly, if you want true horror, look at wildlife movies or footage.
Like
Or look
National
at, I watch
Geographic.
a lot of YouTube channels with people that raise, you know, reptile folks and stuff. Especially the Florida, you know, a lot of ones in Florida, and they're brilliant.
Yeah.
I follow those guys, and just by keeping these animals and explaining about them, you can understand. You just take a bit of that and put it into a horror movie, just ramp it up to 11.
Right. Right.
It's nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
If you're in a body of water and you're splashing about, the crocodiles, and you know, I mean, it's an opportunistic hunter, so it's just going to wait there. You're going to go past. It's going to go chomp.
Yeah.
But it's not going to go. If you like, if they had left the valley, they're not going to chase them.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
That's a fair point, but I think if you find the original version of the script and the part that was edited out, it would have been fracking.
Gotta get that message in.
I don't know.
They made that movie, and it was called Monster Trucks. I need to look that one up. Why am I not familiar with this?
Well, wasn't Monster Trucks the original?
I have failed. I have failed as a horror presenter.
There's still time. There's still time.
Okay, well, see, this is why you see you can't hide when you do it live. See, the people that do these edited videos, you know, when hide all their mistakes. It's when you do it live, it's just like, no, don't have a clue. But I'll find out.
So yeah, tomorrow's video of YouTube will have an added scene of you explaining what Monster Trucks is. That's all.
Yeah, we'll do a review on
it.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's just keeping these things simple as just apex predators who rather land dormant, happen to be in the air, you know, and was that time they woke up? We don't know. And that's the mystery, and that's what creates the dread. When you don't know what you've done to have the monster come after you.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of the horror genre, where if it was a pure sci-fi movie, everything would be explained.
Yeah.
If it was a fantasy movie, it would have been a magic spell. Horror, you've got this chance, and that's the unease. That's what I'm trying to explain you about this genre, is it's that feeling of unease, the not knowing that you're not safe, you're not tip of the iceberg anymore.
Right.
Top of the food chain. That's the whole point of the horror genre, is to take that feeling away from you. Yeah. And your mind will race and try to fill in the blanks. And we actually see it with these guys. They had a whole conversation about what they could be as ordinary people that nobody knows. And and you saw how animated those conversations got, because there was characterization. If it had been just wooden planks given a diatribe, you wouldn't have cared.
Right.
But you actually saw the terror in these. Could it have been this? Could it have been that? Why are they coming here? Why now? What they would do? They don't, you know what I mean? And you got that through the whole community.
And it was organic too, that conversation too, because I think it happened when they were stuck on the rocks, which made sense. They're going to be there for hours. You know, they would have time to talk about it. I think some horror movies where they try to have those discussions about the origins of the aliens or whatever, they're doing it while they should be thinking about survival. So I think that was handled well. And you're right. I think had they explained it, whatever the explanation was, wouldn't have been as successful as not explaining it, because like you said, the unease of not knowing worked really well. As a viewer, I have a hard time just shutting my brain off and not thinking about these things, but no matter what the explanation was, it would have been less successful. So you're right.
That's the whole idea. Your brain can think of 100 things more that come up. You know what I mean? What's put in screen in front of you is only one interpretation, one vision.
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be the same as 1,000 people. You know, when you get 1,000 people, you show them an image, and you get almost 1,000 different answers.
Right.
That's just, you know, and that's the beauty of art, because it makes you think, it makes you emote, it makes you imagine. Because then if you imagine, you don't know where having a healthy imagination is the best thing ever.
For sure.
It's just a shame that so many people now just don't. They want to be fed, everything explained for them. You see it now today with movies. Everything has to be explained. It's all safe and sanitized. No wonder. And just blandness.
Yeah.
But we see, not even, like, we have not really talked about effects or massive stage scenery or anything else. This is actually a really simplistic film.
Yeah.
In terms of the setting, it's the characters and the script that's actually what makes this work.
100%. Yeah. And you can see even from the budget, limited budget, yet they maxed it out. They used it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's all you need, like even the horse riding scene. Like, you already got the idea these guys could just handle anything. That's just the way they were. So,
Right.
of course, they were going to saddle up horses correctly. Of course, they were going to get them horses. They already mentioned that they dealt with stampedes and cows, so they were cowboys. You know what I mean? They've helped herd cows because that's everyone just jumps on, gets in a horse, and goes and does it. It's that sort of community.
Yeah.
And without without getting into lengthy explanations, it just gets demonstrated that, oh, right, we've got two horses, okay, look, and they're checking the hooves and everything else before the start. You're seeing just that little scene of expertise.
Yeah.
That they know what they're doing. You're up against competent people, which then makes the horror more horrifying because these aren't idiots.
Right.
That's something that the movie does really well, is these are not two morons. Yeah, the banter, the bounce off each other, but at the same time, have they ever slacked off one of the jobs they're on?
No. Yeah.
And when they're doing things, they're being competent at it, even when they got sprayed with shit, you know what I mean, from the silage tank. That was just a misfortune, but it wasn't deliberate.
Right.
It wasn't them being incompetent.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And they're definitely valued members of the community, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I said, when you see that across the board, that's even the doctors, they have, you know what I mean? We met the doctor briefly when he looked at Edgar and diagnosed that he died of dehydration, and then everyone's scratching their head going, hello, he would have had to been up there. And everybody knew about dehydration because of the lifestyles they lead. They know that if they go off the reservation, they have to take water.
Right.
But they know how long it takes for somebody to dehydrate. The fact that they were able to have that conversation as well.
Yeah.
And the doctor didn't explain to them like they were morons.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? You get this level of confidence, and then because you have that, it makes it more the gravitas of the characters down, so it hits you a wee bit more. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
The fact that they feel overwhelmed and in danger, like, no, they shouldn't be. They should be able to handle this. Oh dear, these are really dangerous creatures.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's just a simple, just simple script writing. That was nothing to do with special effects.
Right. Just little moments here or there, just explain so much about the characters. Like you said, the horse riding, you don't have to, harp on it for too long of a scene, but now you get the idea that they're proficient, they know what they're doing, and the way the doctor speaks to them, they're not idiot. Yeah, you're right. Little moments here or there convey a lot about the character without overdoing it.
And then the doctor's character wasn't wasted either, because then he was at his house later on. They're building. We'll find out they just moved there.
Right.
And then obviously, once again, that attack was horrible. You weren't going, yay, they got them. You're like, oh shit, right?
Yeah.
Even the wife, like, thinking she was safe in the car.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah. There was no running in the basement, as you say, of like typical horror. Like there was no idiot move. Like, like these characters weren't in a haunted house running into the basement to get away from the creature, or opening the book of the damned. Like they were all realistic, intelligent people that just came up upon a foe they couldn't beat.
Yeah, and that's it. Obviously the comedic element was Bert and Heather, but even they proved to be competent.
Yeah, for sure.
Although with that shootout in the basement, they wouldn't have had eardrums left.
That's a good point. I forget. Did they put anything on their ears? I don't think so. Right?
No,
No. Right? Yeah.
that was the daftest scene because like by rights the both would have no, you know what I mean,
I
both
didn't.
bleeding, especially when that elephant gun, you know what I mean, they would.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good point. I know it's a trope in a lot of these survival or horror movies to have that one person, or in this case, a couple that have, guns, and they're like, they're preparing for the worst. They have bunkers underground and everything like that. But I think it worked really well. And I happen to love those people because in an actual alien invasion, that's where I'm running. I'm going to
Mhm.
those people's houses. I don't know anything,
Just not the Cloverfield Lane though.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't seen that one.
What's his face? John Goodman.
I didn't see that one.
He plays a terrifying character, even though it's Jar Jar Abrams. It's actually a good. The problem is it got lumped into the Cloverfield thing very loosely. That could have served just as well as a standalone movie.
Okay.
And John Goodman's character now is terrifying.
Huh. And
he's just think of it like Misery, but it's post-apocalyptic Misery.
Okay.
You know Stephen King's Misery.
Yeah.
I just think he's a.
But there's movies like oh my gosh, like the Independence Day, where there's that one character who has guns, or there's The Last of Us, just had that same trope of the guy who collects guns and thinks the worst is going to happen, and then it does, and he's the only one that survives. I mean, a lot of movies have it, but I think it works well.
They had these were likable. They were part of the community, so even though they had their thing, they weren't imposing. Like, yes, they had a reinforced basement. They had a lot of canned and dry goods, but at the same time, they just traded and interacted as normal. Everybody knew them,
right?
And they had a wee poke about their lifestyle, but at the same time, it wasn't egregious,
right?
Where today there had to be some sort of comment made. It'd have to be either right or wrong.
Yep. They'd have to be a Republican or something. There would have to be some sort of comment.
Don't bring your don't do especially dumb Yakistani politics. Fucking nuts.
Yeah. But I'm saying whatever side you.
I blame wrestling for everything.
Yeah, but I'm saying they would have to pick a side. The movie would have to make.
Yeah, it'd have to be a for or against, not just the fact that we've got these, and with all different people mixed together. They're just come to this place. They live together. They harmonize without preaching.
Yeah,
can be done.
Yeah, that was another great aspect that if they did make the movie today, it would be different.
Yeah. Bert, like I said, you'll see him all the way through from.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
He was great. He does get more ridiculous. He's just so funny. This becomes like many of these have I seen? I've definitely seen 4 of them. It's just been ages. When you stick them on and you're like,
yeah.
It's been so long. But it kind of goes a wee bit Sharknado.
Okay, I'm here for it.
But it's like, Annie, you start off, it could be scary, but then that runs out. So what do? You then turn to the comedy aspect. Because when you've had all the jump scares, when you've had the terror, that you can only ramp that up so much. And you become oversaturated and it doesn't work. So that's where any long run franchise has to sort of take a turn and go, okay, we'll have to go to the ridiculous now to make it a fun character.
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street, classic case. Dream Warriors, that's where we saw the switch. Friday the 13th, part 6 onwards, they were starting to, get that idea.
They were? Okay.
There's Halloween. I'm probably annoying a lot of people. Halloween's the worst franchise for me. It's the one I least like. Because they couldn't decide whether Michael Myers was human or a monster. They couldn't commit to it. So they kind of had him teetering on either side, and then they did all these remakes and over-explained as usual. And yeah. God, what was it? Not the third, the 4th one where he's living in a basement or something. Just had him with a camp bed and stuff. And then they put him back to supernatural creature, and they couldn't decide. That's where they go wrong. To me, Halloween's were a long run franchise where you have the scares, plus inserting a random movie that's nothing to do with the franchise as well.
Oh, like Freddy versus.
No, Halloween 3.
Okay, okay.
Halloween 3 Season of the Witch is completely its own story, and they just inserted it to give it the name.
Oh, okay.
Where they could have just called it Season of the Witch, and that would have been a brilliant movie on its own.
Oh, that reminds me of House 3, which wasn't in a house.
Yeah. See, you know what I mean? They've done it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're kind of, you're watching House 3 going, what the hell? This isn't like the others.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it all just sort of when it comes into the time, like I said, it all just ramps up and goes like ballistic, and we'll get it. The semi trailer, the truck loader, and the track loader and semi trailer thing, that should have been the end of it. You know what I mean, that should have been everybody saved, sailing to the sunset, job done.
Oh, you think it would have worked better as a movie that
No,
way?
it should have been in all respects of a typical trope laden movie of any sort. That should have been it. Yeah, we got it, we're saved. But they managed to do that and then ramp up the terror again, showing that these things think.
Yeah, I thought that was done really well. And I love the Bert arguing with them like, what the heck? We just left our armored house where we could have made a stand, and now we're in the middle of the.
But completely missing the point that they crashed into their reinforced basement. Like their basement was the strongest part.
Right. But I love that kind of conflict between because they were arguing, but they still cared about each other, and they were still coming together as a community.
Yeah. Well, it's back to the pole vaulting thing as well. I forgot to bring that up.
Oh yeah,
Val and Earl, like they go straight into their old argument that they've had since As Nauseam.
Right.
And they forgot Rhonda was there. So they just got locked in that. No, you say we should have a plan all the time. Sometimes you just need to go with the flow. And it just became about that.
Yeah.
And Rhonda had to step in and do something because she realized that these two were just they've done this 100 times. It's their old argument. Neither of them's going to back down. Neither of them's going to convince the other, but they're going to keep doing it to the day they die, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love like they have this this thing where they go back and forth, and they have this competitive streak in them. But at the end of the day, like they definitely care about each other, and I think it's exemplified in that one scene where they do rock paper scissors. But then who's it? Val like elbows Earl in the stomach and then runs. You know, like he's doing that in my mind because
But Earl did paper and Val did rock, so Earl technically won. And then he told him, "Yeah, I won," and he's like, "Yeah, okay." And then told him like, these, you know what I mean? It's just
yeah. Maybe the winner got to stay. I didn't think about that. That's true. But I love the fact that shows like they at the end of the day they do care about each other, and I genuinely felt like Val was doing that because he did think he was a little faster, but he genuinely doesn't want to see his friend get eaten. Like he'd rather take the risk.
Without being all preachy, this is something young'uns today could learn from this movie.
Yeah.
People can be completely being diametrically opposed. People can have completely different viewpoints and still be the best of friends. It happened.
Absolutely.
It used to happen.
Yeah.
God, you see friggin' Cameron and I go on at times in this, and I'd trust that man on my life. At the end of the day, the thought of something happened to him as well would break my heart. He's my best mate. But
that's awesome.
We just get loggerheads, you know what I mean? In certain things, it's just like,
yeah. That's what makes life interesting. If everyone felt the same, it'd be pretty boring.
Oh, the machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I like that scene at the end. I feel like it was a twist because you think like they're safe, they did it, and then all of a sudden the creatures created that trap for them, and then everyone's scrambling to get to the rocks, but now they're really far away from safety. I thought that really worked well.
And the fact is, they were back in the same position as Edgar at the start of the movie.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, they just instead of climbing up a pylon, they climbed onto some rocks.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised nobody brought him up. Because there's a line of, that could have explained, oh, right, we're now back in the same position as now we know how Edgar feels.
They did say that when it was the three of them, when it was Rhonda and the two guys, and right before they pole vaulted, they did say something like, oh, I guess this is what happened to Edgar or something like that.
True enough, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So they didn't need to do it again, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then we find themselves, the whole town effectively stranded on a rock.
Yeah. It might have worked better if they had saved it for the end, so then the whole town could comment on it. But they did at least bring it up. Yeah.
It's just interesting that that's where they find themselves.
Yeah.
Where normally something like that should have been safety and the story. So you're like, where the hell's this going to go now? I remember watching it for the first time and I was like, bloody hell, this is twisted and turning, and they're never getting away from these things.
And you know what else I thought was cool was the fact that there was that scene at the bunker where they round after round they shot at this creature, and it took like a long time to actually get through. And I thought that was effective, because now at the end you're like, well, they don't have nearly as much ammunition as the couple did.
Yeah.
So by having that scene and showing what it takes to kill these things, now you're showing
kill one of them, by the way.
To kill one of them, now you have two without that ammunition. I thought that was cool. Yeah.
And even they did manage to demonstrate as well when they were on the roof and Bert was shooting with the elephant gun.
Right.
Which he used to finish up by shooting it straight in the mouth, but hitting it on the side did nothing.
Especially through the dirt. It had no effect. Yeah. 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 That was well done. It was very thought out. Like the director paced it really well, and every scene was important.
Imagine getting a clever movie.
Yeah.
Without doing too much effort, just with a wee bit of characterization.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing, isn't it? That the fact you can go, yeah, this is what you do, and this is why it holds up. That's why you can stick it in the flipping DVD player 23 years later, or stream it again, and be like, "This is a good movie. I'm enjoying myself."
It's 33 years later.
33.
Yeah. 1990.
Oh shit.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Shit. I'm old.
I know, me too. I'm with you. I
was old when I watched this. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Do you know what's really frightening is when you're looking back and going, I must have been a kid when I watched this. Oh shit. No, it wasn't. Oh dear.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Do you know what though? Now, the ending scene with the cliff, we kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, for sure.
We knew it was going to be something like that. It should have been really, in the scheme of things, it should have been contrived. It should have been cheesy.
Yeah. Well, if they made the movie nowadays, they would have had Rhonda as the hero. She'd be the girl boss, as you like to say, and she would have been the one doing it. But it wouldn't have worked as well because the whole.
But Rhonda was a girl boss, and that's what annoys me actually, because you don't write off Rhonda's character, because she did the pole vault. She took on one of the things. She got wrapped around in bloody barbed wire. Like that would have hurt.
She did. I thought she was an equal to the rest of them. She didn't take over. Like no. I feel like if the movie was made now,
but she was no damsel in distress either, which is what people try to perpetuate from older movies.
Right. Pre Jennifer Lawrence. Right.
That's right. You know what I mean? Because nobody else was in movies before her.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like nowadays she would have been the one running, she would have elbowed the guys and ran to the tractor.
Mm-hmm.
She would have been the one with the final kill, and it wouldn't have worked as well. Because I think the one of the underlying reasons this movie is successful is that friendship between Val and Earl, and that competitiveness, but also that they care about each other. And the fact that Kevin Bacon's character, Val, was the one to do that. And he even says, I have a plan, like it connected.
Yeah, it was like, I'm coming over to your side of thinking now. It was that sort of...
a meeting of the minds. Like they met.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. That's, to me, that was what made the movie most successful, was their friendship, Yeah,
because that was the central point of the whole movie, was their bond.
Right. Their bond, exactly.
And what you can go through if you're, if you genuinely care about someone.
Right.
what you can go through together. The fact is, Rhonda ended up stepping up beside them and was not, you know what I mean? She was a character, once again, because they spent so much, that 10 minutes at the start of the movie is what made all the difference.
Yeah.
10 minutes out of the movie, you didn't feel like you were being cheated. You didn't feel like they were dragging it out. All it did was set up the characters and the community so that you got invested in everybody involved.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Right.
What's that out of a movie?
Yeah, nothing.
And this didn't need have to be in a 2.5 hour long bloody thing. It's still done in 90 minutes.
Yeah. The perfect length, I thought the movie was. It was timed really well. Paced.
Yeah.
Really well.
So you had the pace. So just taking that wee bit of time, building up attention, but it had purpose. Everybody had purpose. Everyone was brought in with purpose.
Yeah.
So you know who everybody is, what they're like even Rhonda when she first meets him, they're like, you know, there's that whole joke, it's a girl, and then she's talking away, and then because Val wasn't, you know, given it, she realized she had the sunscreen in her nose, and then she was like, oh dear, I'm looking like a, you know, just that those little touches of, oh right, that was my first interaction sort of thing.
Right.
But the blossoming romance didn't just happen as well, because I hate it when that becomes so contrived. I always hated the love interest.
Yeah, especially
insert love interest character just for the sake of it. I hate that trope in any movie. It's boring.
Yeah, especially in a survival or horror movie where it's like their only thought would be survival. They wouldn't be thinking about let's hide in the closet and for a quickie, you know, like
no, it was a shared experience brought them together.
Yeah.
But even the scene where she took off her jeans because the thing was wrapping her and she that wasn't even sexualized.
Right.
It could have been, but it was just a case of practical, do it, boom.
Yeah.
And you were actually seeing a bit of trust there because obviously, bloke tells you to take off your clothes. If you're a woman in the situation, like there could be connotations there or vulnerability, and the fact that let's get you saved, and then once you get into the store, they find something her size, you know, bandage up her wounds. It was done tastefully.
Yes,
and you didn't lose. She didn't get reduced to a love interest. So when we saw their romance blossoming, it was equals meeting.
Yeah. Well,
I think see any more movies. We don't see it. You know,
when characters behave realistically, it adds so much credibility to the movie, and I think that scene is exactly it. She wouldn't have been giving him a look. She wouldn't have cared. Like, just get me out of these pants because I'm gonna get eaten by this thing. Otherwise, if I don't, and that was it. You know, and so it was just handled very realistically, which, as a viewer, just makes you buy into the whole crazy premise of what's going on. Yeah.
Because that's, I've said this before about movies, if you have that grounding in reality, then you can accept the abnormal. Because when you have the normal to hold on to, then when the crazy things happen, you're like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah.
But when people forget to put that base layer on of normal people doing normal things and normal limitations and normal interactions, then when things go sideways, you kind of, you miss it.
Yeah. And that should be the YouTube short. That's it. We made a good point. We finally made a good point. An hour and 15 minutes in.
Sure.
But it's true. It's true. Yeah.
When's this channel being about making points? Come on. It's about enjoying these movies or ripping them apart, depending what they're be, because it could be either or.
Yeah.
And it's good sometimes to jump on the nostalgia train and realize, that was a bit shit, actually.
Yeah.
Because sometimes movies get overhyped over time and they become a meme. That's the worst thing about the horror community today is a lot of movies are just a meme now and people haven't actually seen them, but they'll share the memes, they'll know the characters.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then you revisit one of these movies, you're like, God, what?
But it's amazing how your perspective changes on a movie over time. And that must be difficult for a director because you know, it depends what audience you're going for, but it's going to be perceived so much differently from a younger audience than an older one. Like, I remember liking Tremors when I saw it 20 years ago, but I have much more appreciation for it now, which you'd think it'd be the opposite because special effects and storytelling is supposedly advanced. I don't think it has, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just interesting that I would appreciate it more now than I did back then, but it works the other way too, like a movie like Maximum Overdrive or another, movie that you loved as a kid, and now you see all the holes in it. I know Star Wars for you, so it's just interesting how
You're
your
always going to get that
perspective.
dig in, aren't you? You're like, come back to the club, come back to the club, and I'm like, no, I'm done.
But it's just interesting how different ages, your own viewpoint changes on it.
Okay, but that's life. If you're the same person you were 10 years ago, have you done anything with your life?
It's true.
If I'm the same person in 10 years from now that I am now, what have I done?
Yeah.
Of course, your perspective is going to change. That's all part of growing, and you don't stop.
Yeah.
People seem to think you get to a point and that's it. It's like, no. See, until the minute you kick the bucket, life's an adventure.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for someone that doesn't see it that way, because why are you going to write off half your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to be like, I want to revisit this in 10 years' time and go, what the hell was I thinking? Do you know what I mean? If I'm on to something else or what, I'm giving up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something that I watched 10, 20, 30 years ago, yeah, of course it's going to be a different view, but the beauty of this movie is 30 odd years down the line, it's still good.
Yeah.
Still really enjoyable. Yeah, you have appreciation for different things, but bloody hell, it stands up.
Which is amazing as a director and everyone involved, that they were able to make something that is still likable, is still effective this many years later. Yeah.
Yep. But we're going to spoil this now because we're going to do the sequels. And we're just going to watch it descend into farce because it really does.
Are you saying
what was the one? There's one with Bert and a helicopter. I can't remember what one it was. Tremors saga, tell me, what's the one with Bert and a helicopter shooting flipping... Did he have a bazooka and RPG or something daft? But he's like, just ends up in a helicopter. Like one, not even like a full military one. It's like wee whirly bird. Sort of going shooting out of it at the graboids. I think
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I don't know if they've had legs or wings at this point, because they end up with legs and wings and stuff.
Oh, don't spoil it. I didn't know that.
Come on, they're gonna. Right, do you think they're just going to stay the same? Of course they're going to flip and get tentacles
I figured they were just going to get bigger, and then there was going to be a giant one, like a skyscraper.
Have you seen the Critters series?
I saw the first one, I think, years ago.
Oh, you haven't seen the second one then?
No.
Oh god, right. That's I have such sights to show you, my friend.
I'm psyched to see these sequels. I think we should just keep watching it until we
told you Tremors 5, so I've seen 5 of them. There,
oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Bert's shooting something out of a helicopter, just going. You're like, you'll do me, son.
I say we watch these sequels till we run this idea into the ground.
Absolutely, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Get it?
So on that point, yep. Wah, wah, wah.
That was for you, Steven. That was for Steven out there.
Steven's in New York right now. In fact, he's in your neighborhood.
Oh, you should have told me.
I only found out today. I knew they were heading, but I couldn't remember the exact dates. Either him and Cole are weird neck of the woods now, so immigration let them in. So stand by.
Yeah,
party time.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there we go. Great movie. A lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thanks for recommending it. Now we've got a rabbit hole to go down, so this will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. Brilliant. Always good to see you. Always good to get into, get people's perspectives and conversations.
Yeah,
that's what we're all about here. And we will be back again soon. I know of a couple of things coming up. Definitely October. October, once again, chock full of all sort of goodness and fun as it is in this channel, and we'll throw random things in as well. So, as usual, keep updated with the channel, do the typey clicky things, and until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.